let's talk about Monster Hunter. That's right, I am finally making another video about Monster Hunter. Now if you don't know who I am, then hey, I'm Ryan Kelly and I make a lot of videos about Monster Hunter. In fact, I've made a top 10 about every single type of monster in the Monster Hunter series. Well, that's not entirely true. I still haven't talked about the small monsters, which is what we're going to be doing today. So today, I'm going to be talking about my top 5 most annoying small monsters in the Monster Hunter series. Now remember, this is my opinion, so if you don't agree with the small monsters on my list, then calmly let me know in the comments below. So now that we've gotten that out of the way, let's talk about some of the biggest nuisances, or rather the smallest nuisances, in the Monster Hunter series. So, you know that moment when you're just minding your own business, trying to fight a huge elder dragon that you've been fighting for a while now, and you finally manage to get her to fall to the ground so you can hit her horns, and then you start to combo her horns so they'll break off, but right as you're about to finish the combo, a golden Shakalaka comes from nowhere, hits you, and makes you fly across the arena, and then Kolterov gets up and kills you? Yeah, this might have happened to me a few times now. Anyway, I fucking hate the golden Jakalakas from Kolterov's fight. For whatever reason, they're surprisingly strong for how small they are. Now, I actually don't mind the normal Jakalakas because they're pretty helpful and don't really attack you. In fact, they seem to focus more on the monsters than they do on you. And even if they do hit you, they do little to no damage and might paralyze you. So why are the golden Jakalakas just able to royally fuck me over? I can't tell you how many times I've been hit in the middle of a combo or while collecting drops. I've been killed once or twice because of these little hell spawns. However, I do have to admit that they have a badass design and they aren't too tedious to kill. They typically die after 2 or 3 hits and don't do what I like to call the hit and run method like some of the other small monsters do. Now, if you don't know what the hit and run method is, it's pretty much whenever a monster will hit you when you're not expecting it and then immediately runs away. So they definitely could be worse. Speaking of worse, one thing that I really hate in Monster Hunter is gathering quests. Whether it's collecting 8 unique mushrooms or stealing Wyvern eggs from Erathian, it makes no difference to me. It is still a pain in the ass to do. This is especially the case with missions like collecting Wyvern eggs or suit stones, because whenever you're collecting those items, you have to carry them in your hands. So you can't run at normal speeds, you can't jump from extreme heights, and you can't fight any monsters. Do you see where I'm going with this? There have been way too many times where I'm trying to deliver a Wyvern egg for a gathering quest and my eggs break. I almost never have had an egg broken due to height or lack of stamina, but I've had several eggs broken because of small monsters, specifically the small bird wyverns. Now, I was going to give the spot to every small bird wyvern, but the more I thought about it, the more I realized there's one small bird wyvern in particular that seems to inconvenience me the most, and that is of course the Genprey. Oh boy, do I fucking hate the Genprey. Now you might be wondering why I hate the Genprey more than the other small bird wyverns. And the simple answer is that the Genprey are able to paralyze you. So if you're collecting eggs and you get hit by a Genprey, then not only did you just lose your egg, but you could also be paralyzed, which definitely adds insult to injury. Now if you thought that was bad, just wait, it gets worse. If you're trying to fight a monster in an area with Genprey, then there's a very high chance that those Genprey will gang up on you and paralyze you. And if this happens, then you're pretty much screwed because whatever monster you're fighting will definitely get a free hit in, which could very well result in you dying. And the best part about the Genprey is that they'll do the hit and run concept that I mentioned earlier. So if you're trying to kill them for a quest or just get rid of them, then good luck trying to catch them because they're pretty quick. However, because they're bigger targets compared to some of the other small monsters, they're not nearly as hard to hit as some of the other small monsters. Because of this, the Genprey is only number 4 on my list. I honestly don't know why this monster even exists. I've never seen its materials used for anything important, it doesn't have any relatives, and it doesn't even have its own completed armor set like most of the other small monsters do. But it's still somehow into every area and seems to find a way to be annoying. I never see it doing anything important other than just waiting to attack someone who's either fighting a monster or collecting materials. So why do these things exist? Well, after thinking about this for quite some time, I'm 100% convinced that Konchu was made purely to troll people. It should be no surprise that Konchu is on my list because anyone who's ever played Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate and or Generation Ultimate has at least one story about how Konchu is either inconvenienced or completely ruined a quest for them. Now, what makes a Konchu especially annoying to deal with is that if you want to kill them, you have to first hit them once in order to get them to flip over because of their hard armor, and then, and only then, can you attack them. So not only are they trolls, but they're also more difficult to kill than a majority of the other small monsters. Oh, and this isn't even the worst part. They're also able to mount a monster becoming armor for said monster. So yeah, if you're fighting a Malfestio and you're in the middle of a combo, it can be completely ruined because your final blow could hit the Konchu on the Malfestio, resulting in the Malfestio not taking a single bit of damage. However, I actually really like Konchu's design, and it doesn't do the hit and run method, which makes it a little less annoying to deal with. I really hate these two monsters. I can't tell you how many times I've needed materials from them, but because they're so difficult to kill, it takes way longer to grind their parts than it does with any other small monster. And they also can cause quite a bit of trouble when you're fighting the bigger monsters. Now, you might be confused because I'm referring to two monsters instead of one, but the reason why I have two monsters for my number 2 spot is because these two monsters have very similar issues, and I felt like it would have been pointless to give two separate spots to them. So, what are these two small monsters? Well, they're of course Remobra and Venabra. Let me start off with why these monsters are the worst when it comes to grinding them. For starters, they can fly. So, this means that they can stay in the air for as long as they want to, and you have no way to hit them, unless they come towards you, which they won't unless you're completely still, or just minding your business doing something else. Now, you can hit them pretty easily if you're a bow user, but I'm not one, so I'm shit out of luck. And they typically like to do the hit and run method, especially the Venabras, meaning that you most likely won't be able to combo them because they'll just fly away once they've been hit. Actually, the Venabras have their own unique quality that make them a little more shitty to deal with, and that is that they will break if you hit them with your weapon, unless you have a special ability that prevents this from happening. So if you're like me and don't want to waste time getting an ability just to grind for one Venabra part, then you'll have to lure them into a poisonous bomb in order to even be able to carve them. So yeah, I don't like having to grind these two monsters. Now I wish I could say that those were my only issues with the Remobra and Venabra, but unfortunately, they get worse. Like every other small monster on this list, they can screw you over when collecting materials and or fighting bigger monsters. I can't tell you how many times I'll be climbing a cliff in Heaven's Mount, and a Remobra will either poison me, causing me to fall all the way down the mountain, or a Venabra will paralyze me while I'm fighting other monsters or trying to collect materials. However, those two small monsters are limited to certain areas and aren't super common, so you won't have to deal with them nearly as much as you will with some of the other small monsters. So that's why they're only number 2 on my list and not number 1. Honestly, my number 1 choice should be pretty obvious. I mean, they are infamous in the Monster Hunter series after all. They have caused so many inconveniences, deaths, and even rage quits. They're also unavoidable because they can be collectively found in almost every single area in the series, excluding the special areas and every area in Monster Hunter World. However, what makes them especially horrible is the fact that they'll go out of their way to target you. Even if they're on the other side of the area, they will make sure to find a way to hit you. Ladies and gentlemen, my number 1 choice for the worst small monsters in this series goes to Bulfango and Rhenoplos. Anyone who has ever played Monster Hunter has experienced the fury of a charging Bulfango and Rhenoplos. If you haven't had any experiences with either of these two monsters, then you're very lucky and clearly haven't played any of the older Monster Hunter games. I have lost count for how many times I'll be fighting a monster and out of nowhere I'll be hit by a charging Bulfango or Rhenoplos. And surprisingly enough, I've been killed multiple times because of these hell spawns. However, the most infuriating thing is when you're about to finish a combo or about to unleash a fully charged greatsword attack on a monster, but right as you're about to make contact with the monster, a Bulfango will hit you and cause you to miss your opening. And the worst part about the Rhenoplos and Bulfango is that they have no redeeming qualities like the other small monsters do. At least the Remobra, Konchu, Genprey, and Golden Shakalakas have interesting designs. Rhenoplos and Bulfango have such boring designs, especially Bulfango. I mean, it's literally just a boar. That's it. And their materials aren't used for anything actually useful. I guess they at least have their own armor sets, but honestly, are you really ever gonna use them? I know I never would. So because Rhenoplos and Bulfango are annoying, have useless armor sets, and bland designs, they are my least favorite small monsters in the Monster Hunter series. So there you go. Those are my top 5 most annoying small monsters in the Monster Hunter series. Do you agree or disagree with my list? Let me know in the comments below whether you do or not. Also, if you liked the video, a like would be appreciated, and if you disliked the video, tell me why in the comments below. And if you want to see more stuff like this in the future, then you should consider subscribing to Redleopardvideos. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this video. My name is Ryan Kelly, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.